Alright, Cowboys fans. Let's break this all down because there's been a lot of noise around what Jerry Jones recently said. Especially when it comes to the possibility of extending George Pickens. Jerry came out and basically said the Cowboys are sitting in a strong position with their salary cap, claiming they've got the structure in place to make big moves they did not even think were possible a year ago. Now, the first instinct for a lot of people is to say, well, that is Jerry just spinning things or maybe exaggerating the truth, like he has done before. But in this case, believe it or not, he is not lying. The Cowboys actually do have a path to creating the kind of room needed to keep a player like Pickens in the long run. And when you look at how the numbers could be adjusted, it starts to make more sense. Right now, the projections are all over the place depending on where you look. Some outlets have Dallas sitting at under $5 million in available cap space, while others project a little more. But either way, the raw number is not enough on its own. The truth, though, is that number barely scratches the surface because of how many contracts the Cowboys can restructure. Think about what happens once they move money around on Dak Prescott's deal, which alone can free up more than $30 million. Then you add in CeeDee Lamb, which creates nearly $20 million more, and players like Osa Odighizuwa and Tyler Smith, who can each be adjusted to open up significant space as well. The front office has designed these deals to be flexible to give themselves options. And if they go all in on restructuring, they could unlock well over $100 million in cap room without breaking a sweat. So when Jerry says they are in position to do things they did not expect to be able to do, he is right. It is all about choosing which moves to make and how aggressive they want to be. In fact, the maximum potential savings could reach a ridiculous $150 million, which obviously they probably will not fully tap into. But even hitting the lower end of that range gives them all the space in the world to lock up a player like Pickens. That means the question is not whether they can afford him, it is whether they want to do it now or later. From Pickens' side, there is no real rush. If I am his agent, I'm telling him to be patient because the price for receivers keeps going up and he has the talent to command top-tier money. Right now, he looks like a guy who will be asking for something in the ballpark of $26 to $28 million per season, which just so happens to line up with the projected franchise tag number 4 wide receivers in 2026. So, unless the Cowboys put that kind of deal on the table today, there is not much incentive for him to sign right away. For the team, that also makes sense. Why force a deal mid-season when they can ride things out, see how he performs over the rest of the year, and then decide whether to commit big money once the picture is clearer? The important thing here is that the Cowboys do not face the usual financial handcuffs people assume they do. They're not stuck. They're not out of options. If they want George Pickens as part of this offense for the long haul, the money is there. The only real question is timing because both sides have reasons to wait. Pickens is betting on himself to keep producing and drive his value higher while the Cowboys are content to let things develop, knowing they have the tag as a safety net and plenty of flexibility to make a long-term deal when the moment is right. But while everyone is focused on the Pickens extension drama, there's another storyline building quietly around the roster. After being inactive for the first 4 weeks of the season, Jaden Blue might finally be on the verge of getting a shot. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer hinted that the young running back is getting close, saying he has been consistent in practice, showing speed, playmaking ability, and giving the defense tough looks during scrimmages. That is the kind of praise that usually means opportunity is coming. But of course, we have heard this kind of talk before with young players who never actually cracked the rotation. The big factor here is the health of Miles Sanders. He is banged up, and even though the team insists he has a chance to play, missing practice time could open the door for Blue to get his first real taste of NFL action. Blue was known at Texas for his explosiveness and his ability to turn small plays into huge gains, though he also had a fumbling issue that followed him into the draft process. Still, his upside is clear. Pairing him as a change of pace back alongside Javonte Williams could give the Cowboys that thunder and lightning combination they have been missing. Williams has been tough and reliable running through contact and doing the dirty work, while Blue could bring the speed, the shiftiness, and the home run threat that can change games. Nobody is saying he will replace Williams as the lead back, but if Sanders cannot go, Blue might finally get the chance to show what he can do. And as if that is not enough to keep Cowboys Nation buzzing, there is also movement on the defensive side of the ball. The Dolphins just released cornerback Cam Smith, who was once a highly regarded draft prospect out of South Carolina. Dallas has been dealing with injuries in the secondary, and on paper, Smith has the size and athletic profile the Cowboys usually like. The problem is his time in Miami was a complete disaster. He struggled with coverage assignments, gave up big plays, and never looked comfortable in Vic Fonio's scheme. For a player drafted to be a future starter, he has been nothing short of a bust. So now the question is whether the Cowboys should even bother. On one hand, depth is always valuable, especially at cornerback where injuries pile up quickly. On the other hand, Smith has shown almost nothing that would justify a roster spot. And at this stage, he might only be worth a practice squad look. The potential is there, but it feels like a long shot that he suddenly figures things out in a new system. Dallas has players on injured reserve set to come back. And if they trust their current group to get healthy, bringing in Smith might not even be necessary. All of these moving pieces, Pickens' looming extension, Jaden Blue's possible debut, and the uncertainty around the cornerback position are what make this moment so fascinating for the Cowboys. The salary cap gymnastics, the roster juggling, the decisions about who gets opportunities and who does not. It all speaks to the bigger picture of where this team is heading over the next few seasons. When you start to look past the headline stories, you realize just how many layers there are to the Cowboys roster puzzle right now. The Pickens conversation is huge because it is about the future of the offense, but the defense is just as complicated. Losing Buddy Johnson to the Colts' active roster might not sound like a big deal on the surface, but for a team already trying to patch things together at linebacker, every piece matters. Johnson was never a star, and he was mostly a special teams body. But when depth is tested, guys like that suddenly take on a bigger role. The frustration for fans is that they see him leave while someone like Jack Sanborn, who has been inconsistent, remains in the mix. It is a reminder that roster building is about more than just performance. Contracts, familiarity with the system, and what the coaches trust all play into who stays and who goes. Linebacker has quietly been one of the Cowboys' most unsettled positions over the past few years. Injuries and underperformance have forced constant reshuffling. You think you have stability with a guy? Then he is gone for the season, and suddenly the team is dipping into the practice squad or picking through free agents. That is why Johnson's exit stings a little more than expected, not because he was irreplaceable, but because it chips away at a depth chart that was already thin. Fans are left asking whether the front office has a plan to shore things up or if they will continue to gamble on players stepping up. At the same time, an old face is back. Harris Campbell has returned to the organization, and while his numbers were modest the last time he wore a Cowboys jersey, 6 catches for 30 yards, and a score back in 2024. He knows the system and he offers at least a familiar body at wide receiver. Injuries and inconsistency in that room have forced Dallas to look for guys they can plug in quickly without having to completely retrain them. Campbell may not suddenly turn into a difference maker, but sometimes you just need someone who can fill a role, give you reliable snaps, and allow the bigger names to shine. For him, this is another chance to carve out a spot after injuries derailed his earlier stint. For the Cowboys, it is a low-risk move that could give them flexibility as the season grinds on. The reality is that these kinds of moves tell you how the front office views its roster. When you are willing to recycle a player like Campbell, it shows you want continuity. When you let Johnson walk, it shows you are comfortable gambling on a guy still in-house. And when you flirt with the idea of adding someone like Cam Smith despite his struggles, it shows you're not afraid to take a low-cost swing on upside. Every decision sends a message about how confident they feel in different position groups and where they believe they can find answers. It is also worth paying attention to how the Cowboys are handling younger players. Jaden Blue has been the prime example this season. He has all the tools: speed, burst, the ability to stretch the field, but so far he's been stuck waiting. Coaches talk about his progress, talk about his consistency in practice, but until he gets real game reps, it is all just words. The way they handle him could be a glimpse into how they intend to treat other developmental players on the roster. If they actually give him a shot, it shows they are willing to trust youth and inject new energy. If they keep him sidelined even when opportunities open up, it shows they prefer to lean on veterans no matter how limited their ceiling might be. Then you zoom out and look at the bigger picture of the season. The Cowboys are juggling injuries, working around cap flexibility, and trying to decide who they can rely on when the games matter most. That is why Jerry's comments about the cap were so important. He is reminding everyone that this team is not boxed in. They can pay stars, they can adjust contracts, and they can keep their core intact if they want to. It is not about money being the barrier. It is about whether the front office chooses to pull the trigger on deals. That has been the Cowboys' story for years. Sometimes they wait too long. Sometimes they get aggressive at just the right moment. But it is always about timing, and timing is what makes the George Pickens situation so fascinating. He has been productive. He has shown he can make an impact. and he is clearly going to be one of the names in the conversation for the future of the offense. But the Cowboys know that locking him up now means committing huge money right away, while waiting might give them a clearer picture of what he truly is, long-term. On his side, he knows betting on himself could turn into an even bigger payday if he keeps producing. So, both sides are essentially circling each other, waiting for the right moment to strike. The ripple effect of all this is what shapes the team's identity moving forward. Do they invest heavily in their skill position stars while relying on young, cheaper players to fill in the gaps on defense? Do they keep restructuring contracts year after year, knowing it pushes more money down the road but buys them flexibility now? Or do they eventually have to draw a line and say no more restructures? Let the chips fall where they may. These are not just off-season questions anymore. There are questions that hang over every week of this season because the decisions being made now, whether to play Jaden Blue, whether to chase a reclamation project like Cam Smith, whether to ride with Sam Byrne over Buddy Johnson, are the kinds of choices that set the tone for the future. It all ties together. The Cowboys are not just playing games on Sundays. They are playing games with their roster, their finances, and their future direction. Every injury, every return, every restructuring possibility adds another layer to the puzzle. That is why fans are so invested, because they know this is not just about whether the team can win the next matchup. It is about whether the Cowboys are building the kind of foundation that can actually carry them back to the Super Bowl stage. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. As well, in a move that's sending shockwaves through the NFL, whispers are circulating that DK Metcalf, the powerhouse wide receiver long associated with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is on the verge of a blockbuster switch to the Dallas Cowboys. Sources close to team insiders suggest that the Cowboys are not just looking to bolster their offense, they're aiming to guarantee depth at the wide receiver position, and Metcalf's name has reportedly shot straight to the top of their wish list. Metcalf, known for his rare combination of size, speed, and relentless physicality, has long been a marquee player in Pittsburgh's offensive plans. Yet, behind the closed doors of front offices and locker rooms, murmurs about contract negotiations and team fit have grown louder over the past few weeks. Could the Cowboys' offer, rumored to be generous in both salary and long-term security, be the catalyst for one of the NFL's most surprising swaps of the year? Dallas, a team hungry for an edge in a fiercely competitive NFC East, seems to view Metcalf as the kind of player who can immediately alter the dynamics of their passing game. With Metcalf lining up opposite their established stars, the Cowboys' offensive schematics could gain a level of unpredictability that rivals any team in the league. Sources hint that the coaching staff has been particularly impressed with his ability to stretch the field, win contested catches, and bring a physical presence that can intimidate defenders. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, fans are reportedly in a state of disbelief. Metcalf has been a central figure in the Steelers' aerial attack, and his departure would leave a palpable gap, not just on the stat sheet, but in the team's identity. Rumors suggest that while the Steelers might receive valuable draft picks or cap relief in exchange, the emotional and competitive void could be harder to fill than any spreadsheet indicates. While neither team has officially commented, the buzz in sports circles is palpable. Analysts are already speculating on how Metcalf's addition could reshape Dallas' playbook and whether the Steelers can pivot quickly to maintain their offensive firepower. As a rumor mill heats up, one thing is clear: if this deal goes through, it won't just be a player swap. It will be a seismic shakeup in the league's landscape. And every Sunday game could look very different with DK Metcalf sporting the star of Texas. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.